We keep hearing that 1080p gaming is over, a relic of the past, completely overshadowed by dazzling 4K displays and ultra-sharp 1440p. But what if I told you this obsolete resolution is not only alive and well, but for many gamers, it's still the smartest decision you can make? You walk into any electronics store, or you browse online tech outlets, and it feels like every monitor screaming for your attention boasts 4K OLED panels or lightning-fast 1440p. Manufacturers and even some enthusiastic users might want you to believe that anything less than top-tier resolution is simply not worth your time. Yet, a large part of the gaming world quietly, and very effectively, continues to thrive on the humble 1080p display. Why does 1080p refuse to fade away? Well, for starters, it simply does exactly what most gamers need it to do, and it achieves that without setting your bank account on fire. You can play almost every game at 1080p and genuinely enjoy the experience. While many people will tell you that 1440p looks and feels undeniably better, upgrading your monitor alone won't magically transform you into a better player. I can speak from experience here. I only switched from 1080p to 1440p myself in the last couple of years. While I do appreciate the extra pixels now, I did not suddenly become an esports legend overnight. However, those extra pixels come with a significant cost, a hit to your raw performance. When your graphics card renders fewer pixels, it doesn't have to work as hard, which frees up frames for much smoother gameplay. That's why competitive esports pros often swear by 1080p. They prioritize ultra-high refresh rates above all else, and achieving those blistering speeds is infinitely easier on a 1080p monitor. Take a 500 Hz Alienware monitor, for example. Getting that kind of refresh rate on a 1440p display would be a monumental and very expensive challenge. Because 1080p technology is so mature, you can secure those blazing refresh rates, solid color accuracy, and incredibly low input lag for a fraction of what you would pay for a high-refresh 1440p or 4K display. Scaling up to 1440p or 4K really taxes your GPU. You typically need one of the best graphics cards just to comfortably hit 60 frames per second or more in modern titles at those higher resolutions. This explains why a whopping 54% of all Steam hardware survey participants still use 1080p, even though 1440p is steadily rising. Now, we cannot completely ignore the benefits of higher resolutions. Switching to 1440p gives you roughly 78% more pixels on your screen, which feels fantastic for both everyday desktop use and in-game immersion. Having used 1440p and 4K myself, stepping back to 1080p certainly feels jarring. That also means your GPU needs to render 78% more pixels, pushing it much harder. Also, 1080p monitors perform best at 24 inches or less. If you stretch that resolution to 27 inches or larger, you will likely notice jagged edges, softer text, and textures that simply lack the fine detail you find on higher resolution displays. Playing a visually rich game on a 4K panel, then switching to the same title at 1080p immediately shows you a downgrade. Less detail, more aliasing, and a general sense that the world looks a bit blurrier. Then there's the question of future-proofing. You might want to buy a budget GPU right now, and who can blame you with current prices? For that, a 1080p monitor works perfectly. But if you one day upgrade to a high-end graphics card, all that extra horsepower might feel a bit wasted on a lower resolution display. Conversely, if your current GPU cannot handle it, buying a 1440p monitor will just result in lower frame rates and a lot of frustration. It's certainly a balancing act, but the fact remains that 1440p and 4K definitely have their benefits, but so do 1080p displays. So, when does 1080p truly make perfect sense for you? As things stand, pretty much every GPU under $300 is primarily designed for 1080p gameplay. This means many budget-oriented gamers are far better off with a 1080p monitor. You will enjoy much smoother gameplay at 1080p than if you try to brute force your GPU up to 1440p or 4K. Also, think about esports titles. Gamers who prioritize competitive performance are often better served by a snappy 1080p monitor. Speed, rather than pixel density, plays a much larger role in winning matches. At 1080p, even a modest GPU can easily push over 200 frames per second in games like League of Legends or Valorant. And let's not forget the pure price-to-performance sweet spot. High-refresh 1080p monitors are significantly cheaper than their 1440p or 4K counterparts. This means you can invest more of your budget into other crucial parts of your setup, like a better CPU or more RAM. You can find a 240Hz 1080p monitor for $150 or even less. Standard 60 or 75Hz displays can be bought for well under $80. While 1440p and 4K monitors are certainly more affordable than ever, you will still pay a premium, especially for good IPS or OLED panels. The bottom line is clear. 1080p monitors remain incredibly relevant for gamers. And yes, they are absolutely still worth buying. If you are a mainstream gamer on a budget, or if your current hardware struggles with higher resolutions, sticking with 1080p is a smart, practical choice. The only thing that might truly force your hand to upgrade is experiencing a higher resolution and then trying to go back. Once you've seen those extra pixels, it becomes incredibly hard to unsee them. So, what are your thoughts? Are you still rocking 1080p, or have you made the leap? Let us know what you think, and remember to subscribe for more insights into the ever-evolving world of tech.